Well, since it's the season for telling some strange and unexplained stories, here's another one. Now, this one happened to me about 40 years ago in the Powell Valley region, squirrel hunting. I'd happened to found a little old ridge off of Cumberland Mountain down Powell Valley that I'd been hunting a while. I've hunted it a few times, but I found a special little holler that was kind of hidden. It was plumb full of oaks, and the squirrels was really tearing it up. So, before I get into the story, I'd like to bring you up to date. Yes, I've done a lot of hunting over the years. I was born and raised this way. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and on. This is a tradition in these woods. And being from these mountains, and you people from Appalachia, you understand this. This is nothing new. I've done a lot of squirrel hunting. I've done a lot of deer hunting. I've done some coon hunting, a lot of rabbit hunting, just hunting. And I don't waste no game. Whatever we took, we eat. And we loved it. And it's just our tradition. Now back then, it was a necessity. People hunted to put meat on the table. But it's not that way nowadays. People still puts meat on the table. I know I do. But I don't hunt as much as I used to. I love the game. I love to preserve them. I love to watch them. And I love to take pictures of them and share it with everybody. But that being said, back in my younger days, you could see here where I done a lot of squirrel hunting. This story happens to be around the squirrel hunting, this strange encounter. So, without saying any more, we'll get into the story. Guys, I've squirrel hunted probably most of my life. Since I was big enough to walk, I was following my dad around in these old mountains and these ridges, trying to keep up. Everything looked so weird, so new. I can remember the first time. But we'd hunt these ridges and we'd walk for a long time. This was just after 20 years after the Depression, so they back killed the game out trying to live on it, and there just wasn't much game. So you had to go way back in these mountains to even find squirrels. You hardly ever see a bird laying. They'd eat birds, anything. Well, the days change, you know. Now there's more game killed in the road than they are out in the woods. People don't hunt like they used to. There's too many freebies, too many handouts, too many programs, so they don't need to hunt. Well, I hope it don't come back to that. Well, anyway, back when I got big enough and older and working on my own, first shotgun I ever had was an old single shot Harrison Richardson. It was a 12 gauge, and I killed a lot of squirrels with it. But after I got older, got me a job, back in the old days, I got me a shotgun to work. That old Harrison Richardson, you get up in these 80, 100 foot tall hickories and oaks, squirrels would just laugh at you. You couldn't bring them down. Well, I said, I'm going to change that. So I got me a old Remington 870 pump. But I got a barrel on it that's 30-inch full choke. Now, they won't get up there and laugh at you now. You can bring them down out of there, and I have brought them down. There's many times I'd hunt, and you had a plug in your gun, and I'd slip up on a tree that had 8 or 10 squirrels in it, tearing it up. So, I only got 3 shots. So what are you going to do? You won't believe this, but back in my younger days, in my young 20s, I could stick 3 of these shotgun shells in my mouth. And you know when you shot the first shot, they're going to take off running. So there's always a squirrel out to himself. He's kind of like the guard. You take him out first, and then the others take off running. Well, you get the one furthest way out. When you run out of 3 shots, I'd load as quick as I could them threes in my mouth back in here, and I might get a couple. So if I'm lucky, on some days, which I have been, I can get 5 squirrels out of a tree. Now, people say, "Oh, I don't believe none of that crap. Let's dislike this channel like everybody else does." But anyway, I'm telling you the truth. That's just stories about when I hunted. I can show you some pictures here. You can see my younger days. I used to squirrel. Didn't wear glasses either. I got to where I was shooting more birds out of these top of these trees than I were squirrels each time to get glasses. And I hunted with my in-laws all the time. And I'd bring home the squirrels. They was seine hunting. I said, "You gonna do any squirrel hunting?" Oh, they find it seine. They find seine here and there, and I'd be shooting squirrels out. I'd bring the meat home, they'd bring the seine home. That's just the way it was. But I've loved it, so I thought I'd share that a little bit with you. Well, I'm gonna share a little story with you. Back in my younger days, I hunted a place here. I had a strange encounter. I never did to this day figure out what was going on. But I'll share it with you. Back about 79, 80, I was hunting a place down in Powell Valley, Cleveland County, against Cumberland Mountain, one of them ridges that comes off the mountain, down the valley. And I was hunting this ridge, and I'd hunted it a few times, but I found this hidden little valley that was plumb full of oaks, plumb full of them. And it's about this time of year. I'd done hunted it a couple of times and killed a bunch of squirrels out there. Well, one morning I was hunting it, and I'd just sit down and listen. You could hear them dropping the cuttings, and you'd ease over to that tree, and you'd get your squirrels, and then you'd let things settle down, and you'd go to another tree. Well, in between them trees, I heard something coming through the woods. I mean, tearing the woods down. You could hear it way off, but you couldn't see. If you're lucky in a clear place, you might see 50 yards in them woods. But where I was at, it was less than that. But I hear something coming through them woods, tearing the woods down. Well, I said, here comes either a bear or a deer or something, spooked, getting out of there. He was moving on. Well, I said, well, it might have to defend myself or something. So I got ready, and it kept coming. I could see limbs breaking. I could see limbs moving and everything as it got closer and closer. And when he got about, 30 yards from me, I could really see it was breaking limbs off 3, 4, 5 foot high, just breaking them off, shaking the limbs, running through that thick brush in them woods. But I never seen nothing. And it just kept coming towards me. He got down to within probably 10 yards below me. And I could still see it breaking limbs off and old dead trees and shaking them and moving. And he just moving on. But I never seen a thing. By my eye, it was invisible. I could see the limbs breaking, the limbs are shaking, tearing trees out and everything going through there, and it was moving on. But I never seen a thing. It's like it was just an invisible something going through there, wide open. If it'd been a bear or a deer, I would have seen a glimpse of it or something. No, I never did see it. And it finally just went right on out of hearing right on out through there on that ridge. And things settled down. But I'd never seen that again in my life but that one time, and I never figured out what that was. Now, that was weird. I'd never encountered nothing like that before. That is a weird story that happened to me that still to this day, I can't figure out what that was. So I thought I'd share that a little bit with you. So, believe it or not. That's just one of the encounters over my years of being in these woods. It's strange and unexplained. I've had a few more encounters, heard some really weird stuff. Now, man has not got everything explained. There's forces in nature that's yet to be explained, yet to be discovered. that will never be explained. And if people think we're full of bull, well, they're fools, because there's things in these mountains that does not want to be seen, and is not going to be seen, and will always be a mystery. So I thought I'd share that little story with you. Now, I come back in these ridges all the time, and there's one special place that I have to cross. And I've noticed this rock here. I call it Hunter's Rock. And why I call it Hunter's Rock? Because it overlooks these big chestnut trees that's over 200 years old. How many people have sat here before me hundreds of years ago and watched this game in these trees? How they can get an advantage, get a shot at these squirrels so they can bring meat home for dinner. How much history is passed in these hills. And I love finding their history. I still do today. And I still love to hunt, but I don't hunt like I used to. I ain't got a heart to shoot this game. I love it. I appreciate it so much. I love to study them and watch them. They're so precious, and I want to preserve them for future generations. So, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I know I love showing stuff like this to you. I love this kind of stuff in the woods. So I want to appreciate you for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time.